Here's the brutal truth. Disappearing completely might actually make you forgettable. Yes, just vanishing can make them move on faster than you think. Here's the brutal truth. Disappearing completely might actually make you forgettable. Yes, just vanishing can make them move on faster than you think. Most people think silence equals power. Wrong. Silence without strategy is just empty air. What really hooks someone isn't the absence itself, it's what you become during that absence. The confidence, the growth, the life that unfolds while they're left wondering. That's the pull that can't be ignored. If you're ready to go beyond basic no contact and create an impact that lasts, comment go beyond and I'll show you exactly how to do it. No contact alone might seem like the ultimate strategy, but in reality, it is only the foundation, not the full solution. Many people believe that vanishing completely will make someone chase, obsess, or regret. Yet that is rarely the case if it's done without purpose. Simply stopping communication can create distance, but distance without a deliberate approach often leads to forgetfulness rather than longing. Humans naturally adapt to absence over time, especially when nothing in their environment signals change or growth from the other person. The key is understanding that no contact is not a magic switch. It's a tool that amplifies other actions, behaviors, and personal development. When used correctly, no contact shifts the focus from you being constantly available to you becoming a person of intrigue, curiosity, and value. It's not about disappearing out of anger, revenge, or despair. It's about intentionally stepping into your own life so that your presence is missed for the right reasons. The psychological principle behind this is simple. Absence only becomes meaningful when it highlights contrast. If someone vanishes but their energy, confidence, and self-worth remain stagnant, there is no contrast to notice. There is no sense of growth or transformation that compels attention. That's why no contact alone rarely triggers deep reflection or emotional pull. It must be paired with personal elevation, experiences that matter, and strategic visibility that communicates strength and fulfillment without direct interaction. Additionally, over-reliance on silence can backfire, creating an impression of indifference or emotional detachment without meaning. The goal is not to punish or manipulate, but to shift the dynamic in a way that naturally sparks curiosity, intrigue, and memory. By pairing no contact with intentional self-improvement, social proof, and subtle psychological triggers, absence becomes powerful. It's no longer just a void. It's a space that highlights the value of what's missing and creates an irresistible magnetism that draws attention, reflection, and ultimately lasting impact. Without these additional layers, no contact risks becoming just a gap, unnoticed and quickly replaced, failing to create any lasting impression. Creating mystery and curiosity is one of the most powerful ways to ensure someone remembers you, because human attention is naturally drawn to the unknown. When every detail of a person's life is fully visible and predictable, the brain labels them as ordinary, familiar, and easily replaceable. Curiosity, on the other hand, triggers an emotional and cognitive response that keeps someone thinking and imagining possibilities. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about intentionally shaping how you are perceived in a way that leaves space for intrigue. Mystery arises when you reveal selectively and strategically, offering glimpses of your life, achievements, and experiences without oversharing or explaining everything. For example, sharing moments of joy, growth, or excitement without attaching them directly to the person creates a sense of wonder and subtle emotional pull. Curiosity is further enhanced when your actions signal independence and fulfillment, showing that your life moves forward and grows even in absence. People are naturally wired to notice what they cannot fully grasp, And when you embody this principle, absence stops being empty. It becomes a canvas for imagination and reflection. Another critical aspect of mystery is timing. When communication occurs, it should feel purposeful, confident, and value-driven. Random or constant messages dilute intrigue. Consistent unpredictability combined with substance sparks attention. Visual cues, social presence, and personal growth all amplify this effect. Social media or visible personal achievements, for instance, can showcase your life in a way that is engaging but not fully transparent, making someone wonder, question, and reflect. Mystery also thrives in emotional subtleties. How you carry yourself, the calm confidence in your responses, the way you engage selectively without overexposure. This balance between visibility and restraint is crucial. The more you cultivate a sense of depth, autonomy, and independence, the more you naturally create curiosity. This approach also leverages human psychological tendencies, where the mind seeks closure for incomplete patterns, unfinished stories, and ambiguous signals. By giving glimpses without full context, you tap into this innate drive to imagine, interpret, and anticipate. Over time, this curiosity strengthens emotional attachment and mental presence, making you unforgettable, not because of intensity or pressure, but because you've created a space in someone's mind that they can't ignore or fully resolve. And that space grows larger the more you live fully and authentically in your own world. Leveling up your life is one of the most effective ways to become truly unforgettable because people are naturally drawn to those who radiate confidence, purpose, and fulfillment. Personal growth is magnetic. It communicates strength, independence, and value without needing to be stated outright. When focus shifts from attempting to be noticed to actively improving oneself, everything about your presence changes. This doesn't just mean physical appearance or superficial accomplishments. It encompasses emotional intelligence, skill development, mental clarity, social engagement, and pursuing passions that genuinely excite you. A life in motion, full of achievements and experiences, signals that you are thriving independently, which naturally draws attention and curiosity. People instinctively notice transformation, especially when someone they knew in one context suddenly demonstrates growth, confidence, and a richer, more fulfilling life. Elevation of self creates contrast between the old version of a person and the new one, which is critical for leaving a lasting impression. The brain pays attention to change because it triggers evaluation. If someone has transformed, the mind wants to understand what led to it, what has shifted, and whether it can be reclaimed or approached again. Leveling up also provides substance to interactions when they do occur. Conversations become meaningful rather than routine, because you are bringing new perspectives, experiences, and energy into the dynamic. Socially, this growth can manifest through achievements, adventurous experiences, hobbies, or visible confidence in group settings. It's not about flaunting success, but about genuinely living a life that excites you. Emotional resilience and confidence amplify the effect because they show someone that your happiness is not dependent on external validation. Subtle cues of independence, self-worth, and emotional strength are more compelling than words, creating a presence that is felt even in absence. Additionally, leveling up your life fosters mental clarity, helping you detach from neediness, obsession, or overthinking, which are counterproductive. By focusing on growth and fulfillment, you become memorable not for chasing attention, but for being someone whose life naturally commands it. The principle is simple. When you prioritize self-improvement and meaningful experiences, you cultivate a magnetic energy that draws people in, sparks curiosity, and leaves a lasting imprint that cannot be easily ignored or forgotten. It's living a life so vibrant and authentic that your presence becomes indelible in memory. Selective communication is a crucial strategy that transforms interactions from ordinary to unforgettable because it controls the way attention and energy are perceived. Constant availability or excessive messaging often dilutes impact, making someone take presence for granted or lose interest, while carefully chosen interactions signal value, confidence, and intention. It's not about ignoring someone to play games. It's about communicating in a way that maximizes respect, curiosity, and emotional impact. Every message, call, or encounter becomes purposeful, demonstrating that your time and attention are valuable and that you engage on your own terms. The timing, tone, and content of communication are all critical. Brief, confident messages that convey interest without overexposure create intrigue and anticipation, whereas long, emotional, or reactive interactions can weaken perceived independence and emotional stability. Selective communication also allows for psychological space to build tension and desire, giving the other person time to reflect, notice, and internalize your presence. When interactions are sparse but meaningful, they stand out more vividly in memory, anchoring positive emotions and a sense of connection. It also establishes boundaries that communicate self-respect and confidence, which are inherently attractive qualities. Another aspect of selective communication is relevance. Sharing moments, achievements, or thoughts that contribute to a sense of growth, mystery, or value enhances the impact of each interaction. Avoid mundane or purely transactional conversations that add nothing to perception. Instead, choose interactions that reinforce curiosity, admiration, or emotional resonance. Socially selective engagement demonstrates that you are living your life fully, thriving independently, and not passively waiting for attention or validation. This approach also protects against overexposure, which can lead to emotional burnout, frustration, or desensitization. The brain responds to scarcity and value, so the fewer interactions that carry substance and significance, the stronger the impression they leave. It creates a dynamic where your presence becomes sought after rather than taken for granted, and every interaction holds weight. Ultimately, selective communication is a method of enhancing your perceived worth, controlling emotional impact, and ensuring that when someone thinks of you, it is accompanied by curiosity, respect, and emotional resonance. It transforms ordinary presence into something memorable, powerful, and magnetic, leaving a lasting impression that ordinary or constant communication could never achieve. Triggering emotional memories is one of the most powerful ways to create a lasting impression because emotions are far more memorable than facts or routine interactions. When someone experiences a strong emotional response, their brain forms deeper neural connections to the events and people associated with it, which makes those moments stick. This is why carefully evoked memories, moments of joy, excitement, laughter, or even subtle nostalgia can make someone think of you long after the interaction has ended. It's not about manipulation or forcing emotions artificially. It's about creating meaningful experiences or reminding someone of moments they've already felt deeply. The key is subtlety and timing. Small gestures, shared experiences, or references to past interactions can spark recollection without appearing overt or needy. This might involve recalling an inside joke, a moment of mutual understanding, or a shared sense of adventure, all delivered in a confident, natural way. Emotional memory works because it ties a person to a feeling rather than a simple event, making the connection more personal and harder to replace. It can also be reinforced by demonstrating change or growth. For instance, showing that you've evolved while still reflecting the qualities that once created connection reinforces the positive association and highlights your unique presence. Visual cues, stories, or even casual remarks can trigger these memories effectively, as long as they feel authentic and aligned with your personality. It's important not to overdo this because repetition or exaggeration can dilute the impact and make the effort feel contrived. The objective is to create moments that linger, sparking reflection, curiosity, and emotional resonance. When paired with absence or selective communication, triggering emotional memories becomes exponentially more effective because the person begins to notice the contrast between what was and what is now. This combination makes them more likely to remember you vividly, not just as a fleeting part of their past, but as someone who has had a meaningful impact on their emotions and experiences. Over time, these subtle reminders create an internal dialogue in their mind, reinforcing your significance without direct effort. Ultimately, emotional memory anchors presence in a person's mind in a way that ordinary interactions cannot, creating a powerful, lasting, and magnetic impression that is impossible to erase. Social proof and visibility are incredibly powerful tools when it comes to making a lasting impression, because people are naturally influenced by what they see others valuing and engaging with. When someone observes that you are thriving, surrounded by friends, pursuing passions, or accomplishing goals, it signals that your life is full, dynamic, and independent, which naturally increases curiosity and attraction. Social proof works on a subconscious level, showing that you are respected, admired, and connected, and it reinforces the perception that your presence carries significance. Visibility is equally important, but it must be strategic. It's not about broadcasting every detail of your life or seeking attention. It's about showing moments that highlight growth, joy, and vitality in ways that others notice. Posting selectively, sharing achievements, or demonstrating active engagement in meaningful activities creates an impression of abundance and fulfillment. This balance between presence and restraint is crucial because overexposure can lead to familiarity that diminishes interest, while underexposure can make you seem distant or irrelevant. The key is to cultivate a life that naturally draws attention, where people see your energy, confidence, and social connections without needing to chase it. Social proof also works through the lens of comparison and contrast. Observing someone thriving independently makes others reflect on what they bring to the table and encourages a subconscious desire to re-engage or reconnect. People are drawn to those who inspire, who seem to have their lives together, and who evoke curiosity about how they maintain such vitality. Visibility reinforces this by making growth and fulfillment apparent without requiring direct interaction. When combined with other strategies such as selective communication and emotional triggers, social proof magnifies the overall impact. It shows that your life is moving forward, that you are valued by others, and that your absence is not empty, but rather a space filled with activity, energy, and significance. This naturally increases the mental presence you hold in someone else's mind, making it more likely they will remember you and think of you repeatedly. Over time, social proof and visibility create a perception of rarity and value, which makes you stand out in memory. By living a life that is visible, vibrant, and socially affirmed, you transform simple absence into a powerful presence, one that commands attention and ensures that you are not easily forgotten. Avoiding overthinking and desperation is critical, because neediness and constant worry are some of the fastest ways to become forgettable or even push someone away. When someone senses that attention or validation is being chased, it diminishes attraction and reduces emotional impact. Overthinking often leads to second-guessing every interaction, replaying past conversations, and imagining scenarios that may never happen. This mental pattern can make behavior unpredictable, reactive, or anxious, which signals insecurity rather than confidence. Desperation is equally damaging because it communicates dependency. It makes presence feel conditional rather than magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who exude calm confidence and emotional stability because it demonstrates that happiness, fulfillment, and self-worth are internally sourced rather than externally dependent. By maintaining emotional composure, focus, and detachment with intention, someone becomes inherently more memorable because they are operating from a place of strength rather than need. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings or becoming cold. It means consciously choosing how and when to engage and ensuring that interactions carry weight, value, and purpose. Overthinking and desperation also create mental clutter, which makes it harder to focus on personal growth, meaningful experiences, and strategic actions that truly leave an impression. When attention is diverted toward worry or imagined outcomes, energy that could be invested in building confidence, pursuing passions, or creating emotional memories is wasted. Emotional restraint works hand in hand with absence, selective communication, and personal elevation to build magnetic presence. It allows someone to leave space for curiosity, reflection, and longing rather than overwhelming with constant need or exposure. People remember those who are steady, intriguing, and emotionally resilient because they represent stability and self-sufficiency, qualities that are rare and compelling. The absence of overthinking and desperation also creates a psychological pull. When someone notices calm confidence, they subconsciously wonder what drives it, who you are, and why your presence is so impactful. Detachment, practiced with intention, gives the mind a chance to recognize value, reflect on experiences, and build internal emotional resonance. Ultimately, avoiding overthinking and desperation transforms absence from a neutral gap into a dynamic space of curiosity and emotional engagement.